The message came on a quiet Tuesday morning. Captain James Walker stood in the Earth Defense Force Command Center, his coffee growing cold as he stared at the repeating signal on the main screen. After decades of searching the stars for signs of life, humanity's first contact with aliens hadn't come through radio telescopes or deep space probes, but through every electronic device on Earth simultaneously. "Play it again," he ordered, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. The message flickered across the screen. "To the inhabitants of Earth, you are in danger. They are coming. Your world is next. Your only advantage is that they don't know about you yet." The message was simple, written in perfect English, and it had appeared in every language on Earth at the same time. What made it even more disturbing was that no one could trace its origin. "Sir," called out Robert, the young communications officer, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures at the edge of our solar system." Walker placed his coffee cup down and straightened his uniform. "Show me." The main screen shifted to display a cluster of objects moving at impossible speeds. They were unlike anything in humanity's database. Too fast for asteroids, too large for conventional spacecraft. "Get me the president," Walker said, his eyes fixed on the approaching objects, "and contact Dr. Miller at the research division." Within hours, the world's leaders had gathered virtually. Dr. Anna Miller, Earth's leading expert in defensive technologies, presented her findings. "The message appears to be genuine," she explained, her image displayed on screens worldwide. "These objects are definitely artificial, and they're using technology far beyond our current understanding." The president's voice crackled through the speakers. "What are our options, Dr. Miller?" "The message mentioned an advantage," she replied. "We need to figure out what that is before they arrive. I've been analyzing the energy signatures of these objects, and they're emitting a very specific type of radiation. It's unlike anything we've seen before." Walker watched as more data streamed in. The objects had now entered the outer solar system, and their true size became apparent. Each one was larger than Earth's largest cities. "All military forces worldwide are on high alert," Walker reported. "But if these truly are hostile aliens with advanced technology, our conventional weapons might be useless." The next 48 hours were a blur of activity. Scientists worked around the clock, studying the approaching vessels. Military forces mobilized globally, and civilians were moved to underground shelters that had been built during the Cold War. Then came the second message. "We are the last free species in our sector," it read. "The Dominion has taken everything. But you might survive. Your planet's radiation has made you different. We couldn't approach your world directly because of it. What you consider normal background radiation would kill us. This may be your salvation." Dr. Miller's eyes widened as she processed this information. "Captain Walker," she called out, her voice excited. "I think I understand. Earth's background radiation. It's unique in our region of space. We've evolved with it, adapted to it. What if?" She never finished her sentence. The first attack came without warning. A beam of energy shot from one of the alien ships, targeting a military base in the desert. Everyone waited for destruction, but something unexpected happened. The soldiers in the base remained standing, completely unaffected, while all electronic equipment failed. "Report," Walker demanded. "Sir, the weapons, they had no effect on our people," Robert responded, checking his readings. "The base's equipment is fried, but all personnel are unharmed. It's like we're immune." Dr. Miller rushed to her instruments. "The alien weapon operates on the same frequency as their ship's radiation, a type of energy that would be lethal to their species, but to us, it's nothing more than a warm breeze," Walker finished, a smile spreading across his face. "Get me all military commanders worldwide. I think we just found our advantage." As the alien ships moved closer to Earth, humanity prepared for its first interstellar war. They were vastly outnumbered and technologically outmatched, but they had something no other species possessed: natural immunity to the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. The war for Earth was about to begin, and humanity had just discovered its greatest strength. The Dominion fleet hung in Earth's sky like dark stars, visible even in daylight. 3 days had passed since their first failed attack, and both sides were still trying to understand what had happened. Inside the main command center, Dr. Anna Miller studied the readings from the initial attack. "It's remarkable," she said, pointing to her screen. "Their weapons are designed to disrupt living tissue, but human cells simply don't react to them." Captain Walker paced the room, stopping occasionally to look at the massive ships above. "Can they adapt their weapons?" "That's the interesting part," Dr. Miller replied, pushing her glasses up. "They've tried different frequencies. We've detected 7 different weapon types so far. None of them affect us." The room fell silent as new alerts flashed across the main screen. The Dominion was launching another attack, this time targeting a major city. "All civilians are in the shelters," Robert reported from his station. "They're firing." Brilliant beams of light struck the city. Buildings remained untouched, but cars stopped working, and streetlights went dark. Through the security cameras, they watched as confused citizens walked through the energy beams completely unharmed. "Look at this," Dr. Miller called out excitedly. "When their weapons hit us, our bodies actually absorbed the energy. We're not just immune, we're converting their attacks into harmless heat." Walker leaned over her shoulder, studying the data. "Can we use this?" Before she could answer, a new signal came through. The Dominion was trying to communicate. "Impossible species," the message read. "You defy natural law. Submit to testing, or we will destroy your world." Walker smiled grimly. "They're bluffing. They can't hurt us." "No," Dr. Miller corrected him, "but they can destroy our infrastructure. Their weapons might not harm humans, but they can still wreck everything we've built." As if to prove her point, one of the Dominion ships fired at a power plant. The entire city grid went dark. "We need to strike back," Walker said. "Dr. Miller, can we turn their technology against them?" She nodded slowly, an idea forming. "Their weapons are based on their own biology. If we can capture one of their energy projectors, we might be able to modify it, use it to protect our equipment while attacking them." The next few hours were tense. Small teams of soldiers, protected by their natural immunity, approached disabled Dominion fighter craft that had landed on Earth. The alien crews had abandoned their vessels, unable to cope with Earth's radiation levels. "First team reporting," Robert announced. "They've secured a fighter. No resistance. The aliens can't even come close to their own ships once they've been in our atmosphere. Our radiation levels contaminate everything." Dr. Miller and her team worked quickly to understand the alien technology. What they discovered changed everything. "Captain," she called Walker over. "Their entire civilization is built around these energy weapons. They've never needed to develop alternatives because every species they've encountered was vulnerable to them. Until now." Walker watched as Dr. Miller's team successfully powered up a captured alien weapon. "Can we protect our technology?" "Better than that," she smiled. "We can modify our satellites to create a shield that will protect our infrastructure. Their weapons work on a predictable frequency. We just need to broadcast a counter-signal." A loud alarm interrupted them. The Dominion ships were pulling back, retreating to a higher orbit. "They're leaving?" Robert asked, confused. "No," Walker said, understanding dawning on his face. "They're regrouping. Going somewhere they can plan without being affected by our radiation." He turned to Dr. Miller. "How long until we can get those shields working?" 24 hours for major cities. Maybe a week for global coverage." Walker nodded, his expression determined. "They'll be back, and next time they won't just try to disable our technology. They'll try to destroy everything we've built, even if they can't hurt us directly." "Then we better be ready," Dr. Miller said, turning back to her work. "Because now we know something they don't. Humanity isn't just immune to their weapons. We can use their own technology against them." Above them, the Dominion ships disappeared into space, leaving Earth with a brief respite. The real battle was about to begin, and humanity had a lot of work to do. The underground laboratory hummed with activity as Dr. Miller peered through a powerful microscope. On the screen beside her, human DNA strands danced in strange patterns she had never seen before. "Look at this," she called to Captain Walker, who had just entered the lab. "Our DNA doesn't just resist their weapons. It actually absorbs the energy and uses it." Walker moved closer to the screen, watching the display. "Is that why some of our soldiers reported feeling stronger after being hit?" "Exactly." Dr. Miller switched to a different image. "Earth's background radiation has shaped our evolution in ways we never understood until now. While other species try to avoid radiation, we adapted to it." Their conversation was interrupted by Robert's voice over the intercom. "Captain, Dr. Miller, you need to see this. We've captured a live Dominion soldier." Minutes later, they stood in a special containment room. The alien was sealed in a radiation-proof chamber, its silvery skin reflecting the harsh laboratory lights. It looked almost human, except for its larger eyes and longer fingers. "Can it understand us?" Walker asked. The alien spoke, its voice translated by their computers. "Your existence is impossible. No species should be able to withstand the touch of judgment." Dr. Miller stepped forward. "The touch of judgment. Is that what you call your weapons?" "It is the universal law," the alien replied. "All life must submit to it. All except you." Walker noticed how the alien seemed to struggle even in the protected chamber. "Our world hurts you, doesn't it? Even with all that shielding." "Your radiation. It burns. All worlds we conquered had pure environments. Clean. Safe." The alien's large eyes blinked rapidly. "But you thrive in poison." Dr. Miller was quickly taking notes. "That's why you can't maintain a ground invasion. Your soldiers can't function in our environment." The alien straightened up, showing a hint of pride. "We don't need ground forces. All worlds fall to the touch. All except yours." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Robert's voice came through again. "The Dominion fleet is back. They're targeting our shield generators." Walker rushed to the command center, leaving Dr. Miller with the alien. On the main screen, he watched as massive energy beams struck Earth's newly installed shields. The protective barriers, built using modified Dominion technology, held firm. "Sir," one of the operators called out, "they're using the new attack pattern. Multiple beams, concentrated points." Walker watched as the Dominion ships coordinated their fire. "They're trying to overload the shields. How long can we hold?" "The shields aren't just holding," the operator replied, amazed. "They're getting stronger. The more energy the Dominion weapons pump in, the more power our shields have." Back in the lab, Dr. Miller made a breakthrough. "Captain," she called over the comm, "I know why we're different. Our DNA doesn't just resist their weapons, it learns from them. Every attack makes us stronger." "Like a vaccine?" Walker asked. "More like evolution in real time," she explained. "Each blast is teaching our cells how to use their energy better. The same thing is happening to our shields because we built them based on human DNA patterns." The alien in the containment chamber had been listening. For the first time, its voice carried a note of fear. "You are not just immune. You are the anti-touch. The great failure in our perfect weapon." Walker ordered the shields to be adjusted based on Dr. Miller's findings. Across the globe, humanity's defenses grew stronger with each Dominion attack. The alien ships launched wave after wave of energy weapons, but instead of weakening Earth's protection, they were making it invincible. "Send a message to the Dominion fleet," Walker commanded. "Tell them we understand now. Every attack makes us stronger. Every weapon they use teaches us more about their technology." As the message was sent, Dr. Miller made one final discovery. "Captain," she said, her voice filled with excitement, "I think we can do more than just defend ourselves. We can use their own energy to power our counterattack." The Dominion fleet hung in space, their weapons finally silent. On Earth, Humanity prepared to take its first steps from surviving to fighting back. The gift that had protected them would now become their greatest weapon. A month after Earth's successful defense against the Dominion, Captain Walker stood before the United Earth Council, watching as dozens of alien ships appeared on their long-range scanners. But these were different from the Dominion vessels. They were smaller, damaged, and sending out distress signals. They're refugee ships, Robert announced from his station. 17 different species, all fleeing from Dominion control. Commander Tom Richards, newly appointed head of alien relations, stepped forward. They're requesting permission to enter Earth's orbit. They say they've heard about our immunity. Walker looked at Dr. Miller, who nodded. Our radiation levels won't harm them as much as it does the Dominion. These species have already started adapting after years of resistance. The Council voted quickly, and Earth opened its doors to its first alien refugees. As the ships landed in specially prepared areas, Walker and his team watched in amazement at the variety of life forms emerging. Some aliens looked almost human, while others were completely different. Floating crystalline beings, six-legged creatures with scaled skin, and even beings that seemed to be made of living metal. A tall, blue-skinned alien approached them, supported by what looked like a walking medical unit. "I am Speaker Mark," it said through a translation device. "We named myself this way to be easier for humans to address. We represent the Free Worlds Alliance." Commander Richards stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth. You're safe here." "Safe," Speaker Mark repeated the word softly. "We haven't been safe for generations. The Dominion's touch of judgment kept us enslaved. But then we heard about Earth. About humans who cannot be touched." Dr. Miller joined the conversation. "We've been studying their weapons. We might be able to help protect your people too." In the following days, the refugee ships kept arriving. Earth's major cities began setting up alien quarters, protected by the same shields that kept the Dominion at bay. Dr. Miller and her team worked with alien scientists, sharing knowledge and technology. "Look at this," she showed Walker one evening. "Each species has tried different ways to resist the touch. Some developed partial immunity, others created short-term shields. Together, we're filling in the gaps in our understanding." Walker watched as alien children played with human kids in a protected park. Despite their differences, they were already learning to communicate and work together. "How long until the Dominion realizes their refugees are here?" His answer came sooner than expected. The alarm sirens blared as 3 Dominion warships appeared in orbit. "They're broadcasting," Robert called out. "They're demanding we hand over their escaped property." Walker's response was immediate. "Show them our new defense grid." Around Earth, hundreds of satellites activated, creating a web of protective energy. But these weren't just shields anymore. They were weapons platforms, recreated from Dominion technology, but powered by human innovation. "Your weapons made us stronger," Walker transmitted to the Dominion ships. "And now we're sharing that strength." To demonstrate, he ordered a single satellite to fire. A beam of modified energy struck one of the Dominion ships. Instead of bouncing off their shields, it pierced through them, disturbing their systems. The Dominion ships retreated quickly, but the message was clear. Earth wasn't just a safe haven. It was becoming a fortress. Speaker Mark stood beside Walker as they watched the ships flee. "You have done what no other species could. You turned their greatest weapon into a shield for the weak." Commander Richards began organizing training sessions where human soldiers worked with alien refugees, teaching them to fight back. Some species had unique abilities that complemented human immunity, creating new and effective combat strategies. "We're not just protecting them," Walker said to Dr. Miller as they watched the training. "We're building an army." Dr. Miller nodded, her eyes on a group of alien scientists studying human DNA samples. "And we're sharing knowledge. Every species brings new insights, new ways to fight back." Earth had changed from a single planet defending itself to the heart of a growing alliance. The Dominion had ruled through fear and their unstoppable weapon. But they never expected their weapon would create their greatest enemy. Not just humans, but humans who united the galaxy against them. All ships report ready. Robert's voice echoed through Earth's combined fleet command center. The view screen showed hundreds of vessels, human ships built with new technology, alongside modified refugee vessels, all protected by shields based on human DNA patterns. Captain Walker stood at the center of the bridge on humanity's first star carrier, the EDS Defiance. Begin Operation Freedom. The largest counterattack in galactic history was about to begin. After 6 months of preparation, Earth and its allies were taking the fight to the Dominion. First wave, launch. Commander Richards ordered from his position coordinating the alien allies. The fleet moved forward, jumping through space using technology the refugees had shared. They emerged near one of the Dominion's major control worlds. "They're responding exactly as we predicted," Dr. Miller reported from her science station. "They're powering up their touch weapons." Walker allowed himself a small smile. Let them waste their energy. The Dominion fleet fired, massive beams of energy striking the Earth Alliance ships. But instead of destruction, something remarkable happened. The modified shields absorbed the attacks, growing stronger with each hit. "All ships, execute Pattern Alpha," Walker commanded. The human ships moved to the front of the formation. Their crews, completely immune to the Dominion's weapons, pressed forward while protecting their alien allies. Behind them, the refugee ships prepared their own unique weapons, technologies the Dominion had never bothered to develop, believing their touch was all they needed. "First target in range," Robert announced. "It's their command center." Walker stood up. "Show them what we've learned." The EDS Defiance fired its main weapon, a modified version of the touch, redesigned using human DNA patterns. The beam cut through the Dominion's shields like they weren't even there. "Multiple ships surrendering," Commander Richards reported. They've never seen their weapon used against them." Dr. Miller's voice carried excitement. "The energy readings from their command center are dropping. Their entire defense network is shutting down." On the planet below, enslaved species began rising up as the Dominion's control systems failed. The touch of judgment, which had kept them in line for generations, was powerless against the human-led attack. "We've captured their main computer core," one of the alien allies reported. "Their encryption is breaking." Walker turned to Dr. Miller. "How long until we can access their full defense network?" "Hours, maybe less," she replied. "They never expected anyone to get this far. Their security is focused on their weapons, which we're immune to," Walker finished. The battle continued, but it was no longer a fight. It was a revolution. More Dominion ships surrendered as news spread that their ultimate weapon had been turned against them. Thousands of enslaved beings on the planet below broke free of their controls. Speaker Mark, who had insisted on joining the mission, approached Walker. "What you've done, it's not just winning a battle. You've broken their power." Their authority was built on fear of the touch. "Incoming transmission from Earth," Robert called out. "More refugee ships arriving. They're saying that other worlds are rising up. The Dominion is losing control of entire sectors." Walker watched as former slave species turned on their masters. The Dominion had ruled through a single advantage, their supposedly unbeatable weapon. Without it, their empire was beginning to crumble. "All ships report," he ordered. "Prepare for Phase 2. Dr. Miller looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy surges from deeper in Dominion space. I think they're charging up something big." "They're desperate," Commander Richards said. "They'll try anything now." Walker nodded grimly. "Send word to all ships. We press forward. The Dominion built their empire on a false strength, and now they'll learn what real power is, not a weapon that forces others to submit, but people working together to be free." The freed slaves cheered as human soldiers helped secure their world. The Dominion's first major stronghold had fallen, and with it, the myth of their invincibility. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real war for freedom was about to begin. Deep inside the captured Dominion Command Center, Dr. Miller stared at her screen in shock. After weeks of decoding their databases, she had finally uncovered the truth about the Dominion's rise to power. "Captain Walker," she called through the communication system, "you need to see this. Now." Walker arrived minutes later, followed by Commander Richards and Speaker Mark. The room was filled with holographic displays showing ancient star maps and historical records. "They weren't always the Dominion," Dr. Miller explained, pointing to the data. 5,000 years ago, they were refugees themselves, running from a dying star system. The displays showed the history playing out before them. The Dominion's ancestors had discovered the touch technology by accident, a gift from their harsh, radiation-filled homeworld. "Look at this," she continued. "When they found other species, they realized their weapon gave them absolute power. They didn't just conquer. They'd rewrote history, made everyone believe they had always been in control." Speaker Mark moved closer to the displays, his blue skin paling. "All this time, they made us believe they were gods, that the touch was their divine right." "That's not all," Dr. Miller said quietly. "I found their medical records. The touch, using it, has been killing them slowly. Their own weapon is destroying their DNA. They'd been trying to find a cure for centuries." Walker understood immediately. That's why they were so interested in us. Not just because we're immune, but because we might be their salvation, Dr. Miller finished. "Our DNA doesn't just resist the touch. It repairs itself. We could help them." Commander Richards shook his head. "After everything they've done, all the species they enslaved." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared through the station. Robert's voice came through urgent and clear. "Massive energy signature detected. The Dominion is activating something at their capital. It's like nothing we've ever seen." The holographic displays shifted to show a massive structure orbiting the Dominion throne world. Energy readings were off the charts. "It's a planet killer," Dr. Miller whispered, analyzing the data. "They're going to try to destroy Earth. Without us, no one can resist them." Walker's face hardened. "Can we stop it?" "Yes," Dr. Miller said, her fingers flying over the controls. "Because they made it using touch technology. If we can get close enough, we can absorb its power," Walker finished, "just like we do with their weapons." A new transmission cut through their discussion. The Dominion Supreme Leader appeared on all screens, his silver skin crackling with energy. "You have corrupted the natural order," the leader's voice boomed. "If we cannot rule, we will end everything. The touch is ours alone to command." Dr. Miller turned to Walker. "Captain, I have an idea. But it's dangerous. If we can modify our DNA-based shields to broadcast instead of just protect, we could share our immunity," Walker realized. "Give everyone a chance to resist. It could save billions," Speaker Mark added. "Free everyone at once." Walker looked at the approaching energy readings. They had minutes to decide. "Doctor, do it. Commander Richards, get our fleet in position. We're ending this, not through destruction, but by giving everyone the power to choose." As Dr. Miller worked frantically to modify their shields, the Dominion capital ship approached. Its weapon began charging, drawing power from 1,000 enslaved worlds. "Broadcast ready," Dr. Miller announced. "But for this to work, we need to be closer. Much closer." Walker nodded grimly. "Take us in. All ships, protect the Defiance. We only get one shot at this." The human fleet moved forward, their ships glowing with absorbed energy. Behind them, thousands of freed worlds watched and waited. The moment had come to decide the galaxy's future, not through superior firepower, but through sharing the very thing that made humanity special, their gift of immunity. As they approached the massive weapon, Walker gave one final order. "Send a message to the Dominion. Tell them we know their secret, and we're offering them a choice. Continue dying by their own weapon, or accept our help and learn to live as equals." The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance as the ships drew closer to their final confrontation. The EDS Defiance hung in space before the massive Dominion weapon, a tiny ship facing down an instrument of planetary destruction. Inside the bridge, Captain Walker watched as the distance closed. "Weapon is at 90% charge," Robert reported, his voice tense. 1 minute to full power. Dr. Miller worked furiously at her station, making final adjustments to their modified shield broadcast. "The transmission is ready. When their weapon fires, we'll have a split second to convert its energy and broadcast our immunity pattern." "All ships in position," Commander Richards announced. Around them, the combined fleet of Earth and its allies formed a protective barrier, ready for what might be their final stand. The Dominion Supreme Leader's voice boomed across all channels. "You cannot stop the inevitable. The touch is our destiny." "Now, Doctor," Walker commanded as the massive weapon fired. A beam of pure energy, powerful enough to shatter planets, struck the Defiance. For a moment, the ship's shields flared blindingly bright. Warning alarms screamed across every deck. "Converting energy," Dr. Miller called out. "Broadcasting. Now." From the Defiance, a wave of golden energy pulsed outward. It wasn't a weapon or a shield. It was humanity's gift. The very thing that made them unique, broadcast across space itself. The wave hit the Dominion ships first. On their bridges, silver-skinned crews watched in amazement as their own touch weapons suddenly felt different. The energy they had wielded for millennia no longer burned them. "It's working," Dr. Miller exclaimed. "Their DNA is adapting, just like ours." The wave continued expanding, reaching planet after planet. Enslaved species felt the touch's hold over them vanish. The weapon that had kept them in chains for generations now passed through them harmlessly. On the Dominion capital ship, the Supreme Leader staggered as the wave hit him. For the first time in his long life, he felt the burning of the touch fade away. "Impossible," his voice whispered across the comm. "The pain. It's gone." Speaker Mark stepped forward on the Defiance's bridge. "Supreme Leader, you can choose to end this now. Your people don't have to suffer anymore. None of us do." A long silence followed. The massive weapon powered down, its energy dispersing harmlessly into space. "We forgot." The Supreme Leader finally spoke, his voice different now, humbled. "We forgot that we were once victims too, running from a dying world. We let power corrupt us." Over the next few hours, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The touch of judgment, the weapon that had maintained an empire for 5,000 years, had become powerless. But instead of chaos, something remarkable happened. Species that had been enemies for generations found themselves working together. The Dominion's knowledge, hoarded for millennia, was freely shared. Dr. Miller worked with scientists from 100 worlds, helping them understand their new immunity. "Captain," Robert called out softly, "you should see this." On the main screen, images poured in from countless worlds. Former slaves and masters meeting as equals. Children of different species playing without fear. Ships that once fought each other now working together to rebuild. Commander Richards read from his reports. "The Dominion leadership has agreed to stand trial. They're asking for Earth to oversee the formation of a new galactic council. Not just Earth," Walker corrected him. "Everyone. Together." 1 month later, representatives from every known species gathered on Earth. In a ceremony broadcast across the galaxy, they signed the new Alliance Charter. The Dominion Empire was officially dissolved, replaced by a coalition of free worlds. Dr. Miller stood with Walker, watching the proceedings. "You know what's remarkable," she said. "Our greatest weapon turned out to be our ability to share our gift." Walker nodded, looking out at the gathered aliens, former enemies and allies alike. That's what they never understood. True strength isn't about having power over others. It's about lifting everyone up together. As the sun set on this historic day, ships from 100 worlds lit up Earth's sky in celebration. The age of the touch had ended, replaced by something far more powerful: unity, understanding, and the shared strength of all species working as one. Humanity's immunity had changed the galaxy, not by making them conquerors, but by showing everyone a better way forward. Together.